SnowTrax is sponsored by Ski-Doo Snowmobiles, Yamaha, Conquers Snow, and by FXR Racing, Full Throttle Addiction.
Each season we take on cool build projects that inspire and hopefully offer you some insight into what kind of modifications you can do to your sled. Sometimes they're mild, other times they're wild, but every single time we do it with a specific intent in mind. Last season we worked with Arctic Cat on the Dream Ride giveaway. It was a cool project and allowed me to fully trick out not just one brand new cat, but two, each with their own purpose and design goals. The first sled that we built was designed for the trail, and I really enjoyed doing it because I got to offer my input as to what I would like on the sled if it were mine. We utilized all parts available from any Arctic Cat dealer, right down to the cool graphics wrap. In the end, I was able to change the suspension package, update the skis, add both storage and wind protection, as well as give the sled a very custom and unique look with some key bolt-on colorized accessories. In the end, we were left with an impressive Arctic Cat sled that not only turned heads at the North American show circuit, but ultimately made the winner of this sled incredibly happy. The second sled we built up, again, was a completely purpose-built machine. Not for the trails, but for high altitude and riding in the mountains. Taking a brand new and totally stock M8000, I went for gold and gave it the full 2016 update, including the all-new front-end geometry, A-arms, and spindles, while at the same time updating the front shocks for better adjustability and adding a sweet set of CNA skis. Out back, I ditched the stock skid and completely rebuilt it with brand new 2016 parts, including new rails, new torque arms, shocks, and the beautiful 3-inch track as well. On top of this, I spec'd out a nice vintage-style graphics wrap, full upgraded mountain boards and beefy rear bumper, a color-matched gas can holder, and a new updated seat. A few little accessories for color, and we had one seriously cool, but more importantly, functional mountain ripper, ready for whatever the winter would throw at it. Now, with all that background and stuff you probably already know from watching previous episodes of the show, I'm ready to get into what we have for today, and I bet you're ready for it too. It's not as extreme as some of the other builds, but it does have a set purpose in mind. One of our team here at SnowTrax are heading out on a high mileage ride, trying to break his previous record for distance in a day's ride. And while we aren't going for any world record, this will be a long and grueling trip. So I'm going to pull one of our current 2016 cats from the garage and, with the help from Arctic Cat, update a sled with truly useful accessories. Oh, and you can get any of these from your local Arctic Cat dealership too. Right up front, one of the most important things that you can do when you're staring down the barrel of a nearly 20-hour straight ride is maximize wind and weather protection. And so that's exactly what I'm going to do. The stock windshield on the ZR6137 looks great, but truly isn't doing much for wind protection. So off it goes, and its replacement is a mid-windshield with a nice green graphic. Not too tall, not too short. At the same time, I'm going to add the accessory side panel wind deflectors. These small V-shaped plastic wings actually do quite a lot to move the wind out and around the leg of the driver. They go on with a few simple screws and don't just function, they look pretty nice too. When running high miles, some extra warmth and shielding from the wind can go a long way. Along with wind protection, keeping your hands warm is extremely important when you're riding high miles, because the truth is, the only thing keeping you in control of the snowmobile are your hands. Yeah, stock handguards help a bit, but they really do more for looks. And yes, we know huge muffs of the old look pretty ridiculous, but here's the reality. There's nothing better for staying warm, and truth is, Arctic Cat was able to make these look pretty nice. When it's minus 25 and you're at hour 18, these are going to be worth their weight in gold, and nobody's going to care how they look. Another factor in getting through a big ride, whether it be one day or multiple day, is storage. Riding prepared is riding smart, but to ride prepared, you have to have a place to put all of that stuff. The goggle bag is a great way to keep an extra set of dry and clear goggles handy, and we found a little bit of engine heat even rises up to keep the bag dry. For all your other gear, the Arctic Cat seat pack does wonders, providing a huge storage compartment for everything from food to emergency supplies and an extra mid-layer jacket. This is a handy bag that easily clips on and off in case you want to take it with you once you reach your destination. And finally, we have something that you absolutely can't overlook, especially when you're out riding at all hours of the day and the night. Fuel, because it's not always right around the next corner when you're out on the trail. Arctic Cat's tunnel rack is the perfect accessory to make sure you have enough fuel to keep you going. Okay, well it's not perfect on its own. When you link it with a 2.5-gallon Scepter gas can and also utilize the Arctic Cat rack strap, you've got everything you need to mount and safely and securely travel with 2.5 gallons of extra gas. Well, it's not a full tank's worth, it's just the right amount to add mileage in an emergency or to keep you going to the next stop should the station be closed when you come through. When you boil it all down, each of us has a goal in mind when we accessorize our sled. Might be higher mileage out on the trails, off-trail capability, or high speed on the lakes. But no matter what it is, there's a wide variety of aftermarket accessories available for your snowmobile to make it even better and make the adventure way more fun.
SnowTrax is sponsored by MBRP Performance Exhaust. Lightweight performance.
If a mellow afternoon on the trail, enjoying the scenery is your thing, you should probably move on. If long distance touring and ultimate comfort is your thing, maybe this isn't the most relevant test ride for you. If you spend more time polishing your sled than riding it, yeah, you should just shuffle along. This is the Polaris Pro-X 800 Rush. It's not meant for the timid or the faint of heart. It's not meant to be looked at and swooned over. It's not meant to have a touring windshield installed and a set of saddlebags. It's meant to rip, shred, launch, and jump anything in its path. Okay, so you don't have to be a criminal to ride a Pro-X, but you do need to be among the most aggressive and active riders on the snow. The Pro-X Rush is a lot of things, but mellow is not one of them. It all starts with Polaris's outstanding AXYS chassis and Pro-XC rear suspension. Now this chassis and suspension combo were specifically designed to provide what Polaris calls rider balance control, which is just a fancy way of saying where you put your weight on the sled drastically affects how the sled handles. And while there are a lot of things that make this sled a blast to ride, its rider balance control really is the most important. Because if you're an active rider, you can have a sled that both corners sharp and aggressive, but also lifts the skis and transfers its weight like a top fuel dragster. And it all happens almost telepathically. If you want to loft the skis or accelerate hard, just move yourself back on the seat and the front end will lift right off the ground. When you want to corner hard and get the front end to bite, just move forward on the seat and hug the tank. Sure, most vehicles are ridden this way, but none are as dramatically affected by the rider's position as this one. When you buy a Rush, you have the option of a Pro S or a Pro X. This is obviously the X, and they are not the same. The Pro S is an absolutely stellar trail machine that can handle anything you'll ever encounter on the trail with an almost Victorian composure. The X? It sits up taller thanks to longer front shocks and more preload on the rear shocks from the factory. It doesn't corner as well as the S, but it's not terrible and it can definitely be ridden fast on the trails. Its extra height makes it an absolute animal in the bumps though. And I'm talking bumps of any size. You can power full throttle through the gnarliest ungroomed ditches, slam big hits and catch awesome air, or rail the biggest bermed out corners better than any other quote-unquote trail sled I've ever ridden. The X loves to loft its skis. It loves to be ridden standing up, and it loves to be pushed hard. There are a few visual cues that hint at this as well, like the taller bar riser, overall taller stance, and that utterly ridiculous windshield. I'm just gonna be completely blunt here. That is not a windshield. It doesn't actually deflect any wind. It sucks. It's freezing cold. It's completely pointless. If you're gonna order your sled with this thing on, you might as well not even get a windshield. Sure, this is a hardcore sled, but it's not a race sled and it's not a mountain sled. It's meant to be out, on and off the trail, going fast. There's just no reason to equip any sled with a G-string sized piece of Lexan where the windshield should be in order to non-verbally explain to others you are super hardcore. The Pro-X Rush is a SnowTrax only sled, so you can pick your windshield. Order your sled with a real windshield and the short one later if you really want it for only the warmest days. You can get them at either your local Polaris dealer or at Victoria's Secret. For us to consider a sled truly great, the manufacturer has to get a number of different elements dead on, and the motor is one of the biggest. In this respect, Polaris absolutely nailed it. I can't say I've ever ridden an 800 that feels like this one. It's smooth and power feels linear and almost endless. It hauls hard on the bottom right from initial squeeze, but if you hit the throttle at 70 miles an hour, it still pulls like a tractor well up over the indicated C note. This is one of the snappiest, quickest revving two-strokes I've ever pulled the trigger on. It sounds incredible and it's pretty good on gas and oil. This is an engine that just begs you to ride it hard, and it's mated to a chassis that fits its character perfectly. So what is the Pro-X and why do we like it so much? Well, it's a sled that can pretty much do it all. It rides excellent. It can handle the biggest bumps and jumps off trail and never get out of shape. Ergonomically, it fits like your favorite old hat, and it's got a motor you'll lay awake dreaming about. No, it doesn't handle as good as the S, but it's certainly not terrible. And it's definitely not warm with that silly windshield installed. But these are just some of the things you'll have to live with if you want one of the most fun and engaging snowmobiles we've ever ridden.
SnowTrax is sponsored by Snowmobile in Quebec. Experience a ride you'll never forget. Trail Tech is sponsored by Princess Auto, a unique world of equipment, tools, and more.
In this day and age, there's never a shortage of cool tools to outfit your shop or garage with, and today I have a few products that truly take cool to a new level and probably more likely fall under the specialty category. But let me tell you, once I show you these tools, you're probably going to want them. And first on the list is a company called Bite Harder. The folks from Bite Harder have an incredible manufacturing background and were able to come up with a complete traction sharpening system. Offered in both a standard series and a pro series, the carbide sharpening tool is a CNC machine bit that fits in the end of a conventional drill when using a standard series, or a 10,000 RPM minimum pneumatic grinder with the pro series. The circular metal disc on the end is grooved with a V-channel, then filled with an industrial diamond media that offers up to 40 sharpens with the standard series, or over 200 with the Pro series. It's not just effective, it's also incredibly simple to use and delivers a precision ground, sharp carbide every time. The Stud Sharpening Pro tool offers at least 750 sharpens and is designed to first remove the host steel material, then finally sharpen your stud to a 60-degree angle for maximum traction. Now that is smart. While you're sharpening your studs, you may notice a few clips missing from your track. Uh-oh, time to start looking for a new one. Thanks to Woody's, for under $100 you can repair your missing, broken, or bent track clips with the tracks still on your sled. How simple is that? With only 2 pieces, it's incredibly easy to use and will add years of life to a track that otherwise will reduce performance and cause excessive wear. With a grade 8 drive bolt and an anvil that's locked by 2 hardened shoulder bolts, you'll get an even bend every time, without worry of breakage or being improperly aligned. It's also designed with the clearance required for guided track clips. My final tool, alright, well, it's a little bit less a tool, a little bit more of a securement product, but once I show you what it is and how it works, you're going to understand why it should be on every sledder's list of must-haves. SuperClamp SuperTrack is an incredibly smart tie-down system that truly lives up to the word multi-purpose. Available in 12, 24, and 48-inch strips, the SuperTrack is an aluminum track that can be installed from your trailer bed to your truck deck, or even on the rear of your tunnel of the sled to tie down cargo. Each deck hook can easily be slid to the desired location within the track and delivers 1,200 pounds of securement per hook. The smartly designed anchor is also padlockable and is made in Canada. While the SuperTrack in and of itself is very unique, the attachments that work in harmony with it are also focused on making the securement of a snowmobile, quite simply, a snap. The SuperClamp rear attaches to the deck hook and provides an easy-to-use lever lock track clamp that works with any modern snowmobile slide rail. Likewise, the front Super Clamp 2 works much the same with a lever lockable ski clamp that also utilizes the SuperTrack and deck hook. While tying down your sled used to require fighting with frozen straps, spinning an endless hand crank, and locating poorly placed tie-down points, the Super Clamp system puts all that to shame, allowing a sled to be fully secured and lockable in under 30 seconds. It's safe, it's secure, and it is easy. There's a world of tools out there and tons of advertising trying to get you to buy them. But one thing I've learned over the many years of using products like these is that a good product must offer the consumer three things: ease of use, a financial benefit, and a proven track record. And all of these products I've shown you today do just that, and quite simply, much more.
Closed captioning of SnowTrax is sponsored by Triton Trailer, built for adventure.
I've had a great relationship with Skidoo's GSX in all of its different forms for many years. The more practical, less hardcore side of me always liked that sled, and of all the sleds in our fleet, it was among my favorites every season. So when Skidoo announced they were discontinuing the GSX and replacing it with the Enduro, I wasn't happy. It just didn't make any sense. There was nothing wrong with the GSX, so why change it? To say I was skeptical when I started testing the Enduro would be an accurate statement. I'm always skeptical when I test a new sled, but I wanted to dislike the Enduro so I could stay mad about it replacing the GSX. Unfortunately for me, the Enduro is a really good snowmobile. So good, in fact, that I have come to terms with it being the GSX's successor. So good that I no longer miss the GSX. It has truly been replaced in my heart. So, why do I like the Enduro? Well, for starters, it maintains all the positive attributes I liked about the GSX, like a comfortable ride, good wind protection, tons of features, and excellent performance. But it also adds a level of personality the GSX was lacking. Maybe it's the outrageous flat black bush bar up front. It could be the almost tactical dark earth color Skidoo has inexplicably named Northern Lichen. I'm just not sure. There's just something about this sled that makes me like it more and more every time I look at it. But the truth really is in the ride, and again, every time I ride this sled, I like it more. The reason for this is pretty simple though. It's based on the Rev XS chassis, which is ultra precise. It features a 137-inch version of the R-Motion skid frame, and what's not to like about Skidoo's 800R E-Tech mill? So yeah, I like the Enduro, but the truth is, I don't love it. I'm more than happy to ride it any day of the week, but when I do, there are a few things I just can't seem to overlook. First is the handling. Now I know I just said its precise handling is a good thing, and it is, but it comes at the cost of a more nervous feeling front end. Now this isn't news to anyone, we've talked about it many times before, and it's all personal preference. I just happen to prefer a more settled feeling front end. The new Pilot TS adjustable skis are Skidoo's solution to the problem. By raising or lowering the carbide runner, you can adjust how aggressive or mellow the handling of the sled will be, or you can compensate for the effect different snow conditions have on the handling of the sled. It definitely works, but whether or not it's worth the extra 10 pounds in unsprung weight, that's up to you. It's also hard to get over feeling concerned about hitting something on or off the trail for fear of bending the front end. The Enduro seems like it's just begging to do some off-trail exploring like the adventure motorcycles it's been patterned after. But I, for one, would be too nervous to really do any adventuring. The reality is though, these are two of our only gripes about this sled. They aren't deal breakers, but they are things to consider. On the other hand, Skidoo has maintained the GSX's ultra high level of comfort with the Enduro. A nicely padded seat, good wind protection, perfectly valved shocks, and R-Motion out back are just a start. What really makes this sled not just comfortable, but also extremely adaptable is the Air Ride rear arm shock. Being able to adjust the preload on the fly means you can make the Enduro ride exactly how you want it to, all the time. This was a feature we loved about GSX models in the past. Yes, it's heavy, but the truth is, the bumps don't know how heavy your sled is, and you won't even know the bumps are there. Conspicuous in its absence on this sled is a heated seat. I personally never liked heated seats, but I know a ton of people who do, and for them, it will be missed. The final thing I think needs to be looked at on the Enduro is the bar riser. Everyone who's ridden it has agreed it's about 1 inch too low. Easy to fix at home, but we'd like to see it fixed in production. I think the question that in its answer really explains what the Enduro is all about is this. What is the Enduro designed to do? Yes, it's a GSX replacement, but it goes so much further than that. No pun intended. The Enduro is designed to be a no-compromise, high-performance, long-distance adventure sled that can take you just about anywhere in comfort and style. It's not meant to jump driveways in a Minnesota ditch. It's not meant to traverse vast expanses of Northern Ontario landscape. It's designed to take its rider as far as they want to go to any place they want to go. And for this purpose, it has everything you need and a whole lot more.
SnowTrax has been sponsored by Polaris Terrain Domination, Arctic Cat, share our passion, and by Ontario Highlands, come wander.
If you enjoyed the video that you just watched, like it and then subscribe to our page for more great content from SnowTrax TV.